That's my biggest art, is teaching people to say my name. So very correctly said, my name is Martijn Stiphout, and on a lucky day, the byproduct of my art, which is sawdust, I produce these surfboards. I build hollow wooden surfboards. That's kind of what I've gotten my name out there with. I haven't always done art. For me, art is kind of such a general term. I mean, we've all got such a different medium out here. Everybody running around on Pacific Avenue calls themselves artists, so it's really kind of a vague term. I don't think I'd ever introduce myself as an artist per se. I have always loved building things. Most of it was out of necessity. I grew up in South Africa. I was raised with very little in my family. If I wanted toys, I'd have to make them myself, so I figured out how to do a lot of things that way. That's essentially how surfboards came along as well. I always bought used surfboards, always destroyed them pretty quick, and finally it came to the day where I said, something better has to be able to be done. So I started building wooden surfboards. Started with just a board for myself, and then for a friend, and then for other people who wanted it. And it's evolved quite a bit. Recently, or in the last few years, I've really started specializing on building surfboards out of reclaimed materials. So all the boards you see here, I think I'm the lucky artist, I actually get to point at things. All the redwood you see on the boards here is all salvage boards. They're floorboards from an old Victorian mansion that was built here in town. So I really have started specializing, taking trash and turning it into something new. Much like Bob, I used to play with a lot of smelly brown and gray animals. That was my career before. I was a research captain, or a research sailboat captain, and I did a lot of marine education in Monterey Bay. That came to an end right about the time when I started building surfboards, so it was a good transition. I don't think I would have ever said as a child, I'm going to be an artist, this is what I'm going to do. It just kind of evolved that way. Even when I was doing my sailing, my research and education, I guess a lot of that involved art as well. You know, a sailboat, there's a lot of maintenance to do, there's a lot of rope work to do, and I always kind of took it to the top and put my all into it. And that's continued with surfboards. I've been building boards for about 5 years now. Just this past year, I partnered up with Mr. David Dennis, who's been a wonderful business partner for me. To be called a non-starving artist is pretty good. I'm sure, like most of you, we're pretty hungry. We might not be starving, but we're still hungry. With David, things have gotten a lot easier. You know, the Santa Cruz community in general has been so supportive of everything that I'm trying to do and I've been trying to get out in the public. And for me, it's difficult. You know, I like to hide myself in my little wood shop and make sawdust and once in a while produce a good surfboard. But to really get your name out there, you need help. Most of it is community. For me, you know, that help is David. He's really been able to kind of get the word out there and get people to appreciate what I do and to get, you know, a bigger audience to what I do. So in that aspect, it's been really helpful. It's been really good. It goes, you know, it goes far beyond surfboards. There's a lot of things I do. My main medium that I do like to work with is wood. Part of that is I know how to use it. There's tons of it available. Most people throw it away as trash, and for me, there's always something special in it. So we started developing some new products for, you know, for my business, Ventana Surfboards and Supplies, for our business. We started partnerships with different companies here in town that have the same problem, woodworking companies. They produce a lot of waste, pieces too small for them to process, things they can't use, and that ends up going into the landfill. Well, we've kind of started building partnerships with a lot of these businesses, like Santa Cruz Guitar Company, SoCal Vineyards. We're taking all of their waste wood products and, again, turning it into new things that people really appreciate. So it's all usable art that I've been trying to make. There's a lot that can be said, you know, about making art. For me, the way of coming up with designs for the boards, there's definitely a big distinction between design and doing art, if you will. The design, a lot of times, for me, is dictated by the wood that I get. Because I use with reclaimed materials, the species of wood are really limited, as well as the size of the wood planks that I have to work with. So that's, you know, a lot of times dictates what I end up making in the end. I mean, there's so much to say. For me, I try to use everyday inspirations, everyday things that I find, everyday things that I see around me, and try to incorporate that into my art. I use a lot of things that I found. Some of these boards have jade from beaches down in Big Sur, or different shells from all over the world. And to me, that's really making art, is taking trash products, turning them into something that people appreciate and people can really admire. I don't necessarily think that I started building surfboards for art. You know, every one of my boards I build is built to surf. Everything should go into the water at some point in time, but I have a feeling that the majority of these boards do hang on the wall for the rest of their lives. That's, of course, is not to blame anybody for it. I mean, they are beautiful wall hangers, but I do want you guys to know that they are all built to surf, and that's kind of how I do, you know, everything I do. Turns out to be art, but that's because I don't want to just skimp it and do it quick and easy and get the project done. I try to put, you know, my heart into everything that I'm doing. So, thank you, Matthew.